Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of CodeCap Conversations. So, this is a show where I try to bring in some interesting people and we try to talk with them, have a nice conversation, and see what do they know and what they can teach us. So, today with me, I have got Sashank, who was my college mate. And every college has that one guy who is like, for whom all the coders are like, I want to be like him, I want to be like that guy. Everyone's like, अरे तू क्या करता है उसको देखा है? So Shashank was that guy for us in college. And to tell a bit more about him, so he did a research internship first at IIT Indore. Then he did another research internship at, I think, the MyTax Global Link at Canada. Then he was an intern at Red Hat, and now he is a Geeks for Geeks mentor. So, Sashank, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ankush.
Hey,
Thanks
man.
for having me here.
Hey, man. So, so Shashank was pretty good with algorithms. I mean, he was in ICPC regionals. Actually, we were in a team and we tried to break through ICPC and we weren't able to. Then Shashank dropped the dead weight, which was me, and got a better team and he went to the regionals. So, Sashank, we want to talk about algorithms. We want to see why students should learn DSA and what's in for them. So why? So the first question, why should students in college, maybe first year, second year, or even third year, why should they learn data structures, algorithms, or competitive programming?
Okay, so coming to data structure and algorithms, I would say apart from getting placement, it has like much more advantages. So first of all is in computer science, whatever we study, like anything from OS to CN to database or even to compilers, in everything, if you see closely on the like backend level, there are algorithms which are implemented, and these are those algorithms only which we study, like which are there in our courses, those basic trees, graphs, and all these things. And even in tech giants, like if you see the whole architecture of their working, like how they work, or see like Facebook, if we consider Facebook. So Facebook uses meet in the middle algorithm to check for friends of friends and like that. So at the core level, it's always the algorithms which you will be finding. Rest other thing are just like layers above it to help the developers make the things like more comfortable to them for developing, or for the users to use it in a very efficient way and in a easy way. So apart from like mostly people, what they do is they take DSA as the tool to crack interviews and have their placements. But apart from that, DSA is the core of computer science, I would say. And moreover, it helps us like improve our problem solving skills, which is very important. Like if you're good in your analytical thinking, then like it will help you in other fields of related to puzzles, solving puzzles, because anyway you are using some tools to solve some problems. So it is like helping you other way around also.
Yeah, good. Shashank was talking about how programming helps analytical skills, and he's also, I think, a pro cubist. Is it called cubist, the people who solve Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, like speed cubers.
Speed cubers, yeah. So he's a speed cuber, and I was seeing some videos about it recently on internet, and it's so crazy how people do it. So Shashank has done so many things that I forget. I forget. So please forgive me. So let's say there's a guy who's maybe in the final years of school or just got into college. So how do they actually start with learning algorithms? There's so many resources out there. There's books, CLRS, or other books. There's so many websites. How do people start?
Yeah, so like majority of the people who are like very good at algorithms, or from whom I have learned, they always told me one thing: to stick to a platform for some time when you're beginning. Because what most people do is they just switch the platforms and they're not learning anyways out of them. So suppose, like I always say to everyone, like suppose you have solved array problems on Geeks for Geeks, and then you get bored and then you think like, okay, now let's switch to some other platform, and you are going to LeetCode or CodeShop or any other problem and sorting them on the basis of arrays. So again, you are saying like you are going to the platform and you're thinking like, okay, I will again solve all the array problems again. So in the end, if you see, by switching the platforms, you are indirectly solving the same problems again and again, and that will obviously not help you improve your level. So first of all, is like every platform is good. See a platform where you can start from the very beginning, and the like many things are there. You like the UI, you like the problem statements, how it is written over there, and many more things. So first of all, get comfortable with the things out there, like how to write simple codes, and then basic ad hoc problems, and then switching to proper algorithms and data structures, like how to use them to solve a problem. So first of all thing is sticking to a platform. The second thing is choosing a language, where most people like they just spend a lot of their time just thinking which language to choose. So for it, I would say choose any language, because that won't affect you much. But I would personally say like don't choose such languages which are not like not popular among the people who do competitive programming. Because at the end, like if you see some tutorials or you're reading some editorial, and if you're not finding the code over there in which you code, then it would not be helpful. So just try to like find those languages like C, C++, Java, Python, even JavaScript some people do. So don't try to just take up those languages which are not popular. So stick to a language, like have a good grasp over it, because you will get a good grasp over it simply by practicing many problems on it, because you will be needing some of the other syntaxes now and then, which are new to you. So you can learn on the way, like by implementing the code or solving the problems. Now the third thing is have a planned manner to like go on with the data structure algorithms. Many people, what they do is, like I have seen 90% people around me, what they do, they started off with arrays. They went through linked list, and whenever the stack queues and nonlinear data structure graph tree started, they left over there. So I know like these topics are tough to grasp on the very first go, but have the patience right there. Take the guidance of the people, see video tutorials, see editorials out there, and what like people who have done tremendously great in those fields, what they have written about those topics, how to learn them, go through them, make your own structure, make your own planned way. Because like if you go and ask, okay, तुमने कैसे DSA की थी, so he will tell you the way he did, but that won't ensure like that method will fit to yours. So find your method. That's very important, because finding your method will help you, like you will be able to stick it, and you will like know in and out of it how you thought to make that plan, and like how you are dealing with it right now, and how you will go along with it in future. So it will like it helps a lot. So yeah, these things are there. And last thing is don't give up. Like people in the halfway give up on these things, even if you're not able to solve simple problems also, don't worry, just practice it out, and in a while you will see like you are able to think of the solutions. Because in the starting, like for me also, I was not able to think for the solution of very simple problems, like the easy level problem which are TAP. So have the patience. That's very important.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good insights. What do you think about books though? Like, there is the CLRS and all those things, and there are some books which even go into the depths of the theoretical proofs, the math behind it. So what do you think about those books and the mathematical theory behind algorithms? Should students also go through them, or maybe take a look? What?
Yeah, that's a good point to add, basically. It's always good to have a greater insight on the algorithms you are studying, because algorithms are just like procedures like what you want to follow, or you should follow to get your get your problems done. So that's the like a bit above layer of what you're doing. But when you go inside it, like how the algorithm works and why it works, the proofs behind it, that is the core of the thing. And for that, like I personally followed CLRS. Like I started doing that book in the starting of my third year, and since like it's a huge book like to complete.
Yeah, it's a huge.
So yeah, so it took me almost like 2 years to complete it.
But the book is also pretty great. I mean, the explanation is so clear that you don't need a teacher or something like that in the book.
But I found one thing, like why I started it from the third year. I have heard of that book CLRS a lot when I started coding. So I used that book, like I bought it and I started reading it. But I found one thing, like if you're programming knowledge or if your problem solving level is not like you can analyze it on your own self. Like if it's not that good, that book would not help you
Yeah.
because it will be very difficult for you to understand those things out there. So first of all, build your basics very strong and have a decent grasp on the things, all the data structure and concepts. And then when you go through that book, you will see like, okay, these are some like beautiful things, the maths behind it and the proofs behind the things which I have already studied. And then you will be able to like learn it in a better way. So I would personally say like first have a good grasp on the things and then go for CLRS.
That
Yeah.
that makes quite a bit of sense. So what happens is some people, what they do, maybe even most people, they study DSA because they have got that in college, and in college they give you some standard algorithms, some standard data structures, and they mug up the algorithms. So that actually, and when they see a new problem, they face, they don't know what to do, because obviously in an interview or maybe in a coding contest, they won't just ask you longest increasing subsequence, they will ask you something more than that. So
Yeah, right.
so what should students who are just learning do to avoid that, so that they don't
Okay.
mug up things?
See, I would say like when there is something in which you have to like brainstorm your mind and you have to put in your mental efforts over there. So I totally agree with it. Like it's a difficult part to overcome that. So I personally didn't follow the college stuff at all right from my second year. Like I didn't go to the classes much, and I used to follow NPTEL lectures. No, basically the point is the type of questions and and the type of questions you get in the exams and in the assignments. Those are just like what was written on the board in the classroom.
Correct.
So there is nothing new in the time pressure which you have to think, because in time pressure your thinking power develops. Because if you don't have the time pressure, okay, you can take 2 days, 3 days to solve a problem, but that won't like enhance your mind to work faster. I would say that. So yeah, the basic algorithms are always taught over there, and like the way they are taught is good enough to learn how they work basically on a sample example, not on the core concept. So I would say like so where were we? I forgot like what was the question.
Yeah, so we were talking
Sorry.
about how to think about a problem that you haven't seen before.
Okay, yeah. So, like, if you encounter a new problem, the first and the foremost thing is to break down the problem into the sub problems. Because if you look at the whole problem in a single go, it will obviously will like you will get afraid of it, like what all the things are there. But if you try to break down the problem in smaller problems, then you will be able to figure out, okay, for this smaller sub problems, for this sub problem, I can use this thing. For this sub problem, I can use this thing, and you can at the end you will get a 2 to 3 algorithms and you can connect them to find a single solution out of it. So like this is the thing which takes time to learn, because in the start your mind will be blank, like okay, what algorithm will be used here, or like what intuition is coming after reading this problem. So it will take some time and it will take like quite some practice, like quite number of problems you have to solve before like don't just think like that. If you're not able to think a problem, like 10 problems you solved and you're not able to solve even a single problem and they all are easy, so that is the time where the panic comes up. Like you think like okay, even the easier problems which are coming up I am not able to solve. So just try to read the tutorial out there and think like where you lagged, because that is very important. Because the point you like that is a core thing out there while learning DSA is always try to figure out where you lagged in your thinking process. It's not like you just read the solution and you agreed with that solution, that okay, is the correct solution, I will go with it. Just try to think, okay, what you were thinking, is it close to it, how much far you are from it, or it is entirely different. If it is entirely different, then obviously you don't know the concept behind it, so no need to worry. If you learn it right now, in the next problem which will be a similar pattern, you will be able to solve it. So it's all about like coming or like facing newer problems. How many new problems you are able to like encounter on a daily basis and you solve it. Because obviously if you're starting with something, you won't know anything about it and everything will be new to you. But after some time, or after you have solved quite a number of problems, then the things will become familiar to you and you will be able to like know how to encounter a new problem.
That's pretty interesting, you know. I remember when I was doing dynamic programming, I was starting out with dynamic programming, I was clueless. I mean, what was that? I mean, I didn't understand anything, but I was using Geeks for Geeks probably. There was a playlist and I kept just following the basic playlist, the easy playlist, and yeah, eventually there are some things which you just need to grunt out and practice. So
Right, exactly.
it will get to you. So there is one thing. Sometimes people just get stuck at a level. So let's say I'm solving easy problems and then I jump to medium problems. But when I'm going to the hard problems, I'm not able to do that, and like reaching a plateau sort of, maybe in,
Yeah.
in their CP rating or maybe in just general understanding. So
Mm.
how to break through plateaus?
Okay, so for that is, yeah, it's very true that at some point of time when you are practicing the questions, there is a plateau. At like you think like you are not improving,
Hmm.
but I would say you're still improving, because if you are not able to solve some new topic problem, that means you have not studied that topic thoroughly, and you have not learned it properly. So you have to revisit them. But if you are like saying you have encountered a new topic and you are not able to solve it, and you're saying like you are not able to improve your level, or your transition is not good, but that I would say like it will be very foolish to think of like that.
Okay.
So first of all, just figure it out. As I said in the earlier part also, like the concept behind it, or or the algorithm behind it, the problem which you are doing or solving. Is it something you have read before? If not, then straight away you will not be able to solve the problem, because we are not we are not uh, the those persons who make algorithms out there on the core level. So obviously you will not be able to solve them. And even if you are of that type of person, you are making algorithms on the core level, you will have quite some good knowledge of algorithms out there. It's not like straight away you will be able to crack the things out there. So I would say like whenever there is a plateau hit, uh, just try to take up some new topics and solve problems around it, because there are always some algorithms or data structures, maybe advanced data structures, algorithms, or some basics also which you have missed. So just take up those new topics, do some easy medium problems around them, and then you will feel some confidence, like okay, I have learned some new topic and now I have some more toolkit in my bucket.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that also makes some sense, because I am currently feeling like that I'm not improving and I'm practicing most days, but I'm not. So yeah, I mean, thanks to Shashank for giving me that some motivation and some boost. So
I also need it.
so there is this thing about time pressure. Like, if people are sitting for a placement exam, they will probably have huge time pressure. Like, they have to solve problems in 10-15 minutes max to max.
Yeah.
So but when we are solving problems by ourselves, maybe on Lead Code, maybe on Geeks for Geeks, whatever, so people, like, we don't generally take the time into account. Also, when we're learning, at first we cannot solve it in 15 seconds, 15 minutes. So how do you think we should get prepared for the time bound problems, the time bound preparation? How should we do that?
Yeah, so for that, like it happened to me a lot right from the early age when I started giving competitive programming exams. Sorry, not competitive programming, competitive entrance exams.
Hmm.
So what I like, it took me quite of some time to analyze like why time pressure builds up on things, even when we know about it.
Hmm.
Sometimes like it's a very easy problem and we know about it, but due to time pressure, we just mess it up. So what I did was, I gave a lot of hiring challenges off campus. So there was always that nervousness in me. The time is ticking, the time is going, and I have to solve this much problem. So one day, what I thought is, either following this way is not helping me because I'm messing my challenges around,
Hmm.
which is the hiring challenges. So it's not helping me either way to taking up the pressure of time. So I thought, okay, I will take as much time I want. I will give it with a free mind, and let the result, whether I am selected or I am not, I will just enjoy the problems in this 45 minutes or 50 minutes. What is there? And if I encounter a new problem, I will save it to solve it later. That was my only motivation, to enjoy the problem. So I won't feel the time pressure.
That's a pretty good, that's I mean, this is a very unique insight that you're enjoying the problems. I really want to know this. Do you actually, like, actually enjoy solving algorithm problems? Do you think that?
Yeah, it's like addiction, to be
Yeah,
very
like
honest.
sometimes you solve something after, spending so much of time, and there is this, I don't know, this some rush in brain which makes you feel pretty very great. Maybe
Exactly.
your rest of life is hell, but at that moment you feel good.
Exactly, like it's the case in everything. When you do the things on your own self, there is a dopamine hit in your mind,
Ah,
and that's very enjoyable. So when
yeah.
you get, yeah, so when you get that hit one or two time, or when you start getting it on a quicker basis or on a frequent interval, then you go, okay, let's do one more problem.
Yeah, I mean, there is a new site that I found called Binary Search, and they are
Okay,
actually using this. Like, they put TikTok in coding, I guess, because
okay,
you have to press a button called start, and then they will
hmm,
give you 15 minutes, one medium
okay,
problem, or 30 minutes, one hard problem, something like that, and you have to solve it. And again, solving, you have to again click start, and there will be another random problem.
okay.
So, like scrolling on social media, I found that binary search is pretty addictive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. Like when you're solving things in a time constraint, so it's always like, if you win, you will always feel, okay, let's try one more.
Let's
And
try
if
one
you
more.
lose, then also you will think, okay, let's try one
Let's
more.
try one more. Maybe this time I'll win.
And this time. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like a gamble.
Yeah, just like a gamble. Um, sometimes sometimes we may think that, like, algorithms are sometimes very beautiful. Do you think that too?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Like sometimes you get some like such a beautiful insight of any algorithm. You would say like how it is possible. Like sometimes you just get amazed about it. Like
Yeah.
how it works. Like when I read about this algorithm, Moore voting algorithm, to find the like there is a
Yeah.
candidate
The
element or
majority
not. Like
majority element.
yeah,
Yeah.
majority element. Right, exactly. So when I read that algorithm and I read the proof around it, like how it works. So I was really amazed, like how can one think about it?
Yeah, me too, me too. I mean, they say that, I read the problem first, and like in O1 space, you have to find a majority element. And I was like,
Yeah,
like, it didn't make any sense to me at first, but it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the second picture that amazed me a lot was segmentary.
Ah,
Like, yeah, like how beautifully they have dealt with the range stuffs. Like you can truly use that in a very efficient way. And even like big giants, they use segment trees logic behind them. So if you see YouTube, like if you see
correct.
YouTube, so whenever there is some network issue out there in your system, or your speed is not coming that good, so you would see like your video for which you have requested through the API, that will be loaded first, and rest other thumbnails and other videos
Hmm.
recommendations will be posted later. So that is basically using segmentary lazy propagation technique, where your main thing is being uploaded first, and the rest of the things are being like lazy propagated to the child nodes or something, whatever they follow. So it will be displayed afterwards. So you're like it's a very good thing, like if you know the data structure algorithms which you're studying, how they are being used around the things which you're using. So it will like really amaze you how people are using them, and even how they have come out, like the one who made it.
Right. Even like databases, most databases at the storage level use B-tree indexing, and
Exactly.
B-trees are by themselves very basic data structures. But when you
Exactly.
are implementing, and it scales up so good, and we have got the large databases, Postgres or whatever, and they are
Yeah,
using
right.
the B trees to
Yeah, B
handle.
industries, these
S-
are used for indexing.
These are so there's a so amazing. One thing, you did some AI internships. First,
Yeah,
I think Indore one was also IT, one was also AI, and then
yeah,
at Canada, that one you
yeah.
did. Did the algorithm knowledge or the algorithmic thinking that you developed helped you in while doing AI?
Yeah, like as such, the same algorithms are not there, obviously. But
Hmm.
the one thing which has helped me by solving problems is that I like the fear of facing the new things. It has gone in me
Huh.
because now and then I'm facing some new problems. And at the end, you are making a project, you are solving some business problem or anything. There is a problem statement for everything out there. And when you find the things like, okay, it's also a problem. So you just break down the things out there and see what components are used. If you're not familiar with it, you learn about it. And yes, when I was learning about machine learning algorithms like clustering algorithms, KNN, and K-means, so there I like analyzed many of the things related to graph, like how should I connect it with it. And
Hmm.
even in my IT Indore internship, we tried to optimize KNN algorithm a bit using some like weighted graph techniques out there.
Okay.
So at that time, it was purely an algorithm which was graph based, where shortest path and everything was coming into picture.
Hmm.
So at like these things always help you. Like if you have the knowledge of basic data structure algorithms, advanced data structure algorithms, you will always see them now here and there. Even you are working in the large tech stacks or AI side or development, backend development, everywhere on the core level, you will be seeing them. And
Hmm.
when you know them, you will get the feel like how the things are working and why it is done like that.
That's good.
And yeah, and when I was in Canada, so that was more of like theoretical thing out there. That was not on the algorithm side. I was
Okay.
working on reinforcement learning and NLP. So at that time, like that was not any bit closer to algorithms out there. But yeah, when I was reading reinforcement learning, I was thinking it in the form of, okay, is it DP? Like you are using the past knowledge
Hmm. Hmm.
for your bot to make it learn for the present.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So when you like, if you haven't studied DP, you won't be able to connect thing in that way.
You're right. So even if the algorithms aren't there, the thinking that one develops,
Yeah, that's very important.
that's very important. Like even ignoring placements, even ignoring competitive programming, those rating, the medals, even ignoring all
Yeah,
those, just putting that effort in, like in projects or in whatever you're doing, it helps you grow as a programmer. Um,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So one more thing that I wanted to talk
Hmm.
to you about, you were an intern at Red Hat.
Yeah.
So at a company like that, how much do you think, like what is the level of algorithm knowledge that people
Okay.
require? I mean, I'm not sure how will you quantify the level. So, but yeah, maybe easy, medium, hard, something like that.
See, like at the company level, people first of all focus on whether the things which you are making or the code you have written is running properly or not. Is
Hmm.
it executing the basic things or not out there?
Okay.
And the corner cases, have you like taken care of the corner cases? Like suppose I was implementing a function out there when I was in Reddit. So it used some string matching algorithms. So people out there, they simply used the two nested loops to do that. There was something out there in which we have to use matching algorithms out there for two strings. So I used KMP over there in place of what other people
Hmm.
wrote. So they were really impressed by it. They thought like, okay, I have written a very optimized code and use something new, because people at the company level, they don't bother about optimization much. And like I have seen, like at least what my experience is, they don't they don't just focus only on the optimization. They just focus on the working thing. If the things break down, then they will think of optimization.
Hmm.
But if you already provide them with an optimized thing, they will be very happy with it.
But in the interviews,
Yeah.
the algorithms levels are much higher, right?
Yeah, at that time you are like expected to write a very optimized code.
Ha, ha, ha. Do you think these interviews make sense? Like so much of algorithms and data structures? Not because I've heard many people campaigning that you will not do these things in company. You will be writing maybe web dev. You're doing something else. So asking algorithms doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't have any opinion about that. Actually, I don't like understand that much. But what do you think? Do these interviews make sense?
In the starting, I also had the same opinion. Like, why do they take so tough
Hmm.
DSL go rounds if they are not using it in for the profile I am hired for? So the basic thing is I talked to one of the senior who was at Adobe. I asked him this question, like, why do people take so much tough DSL go rounds
Hmm.
despite it is not used much? So he said, like, it is only a tool to check your analytical thinking, nothing else.
Huh. Also, if you can
Like,
write complex code on demand.
exactly. It like it checks lots of things. Are you like how you feel the pressure, how you solve under pressure? Because
Hmm.
you are given a problem and you don't have a day in an interview. You have for round one, suppose you are asked two questions and you have 40 minutes out there. So
Correct.
20 minutes for explaining everything. So it helps you like it helps them check in the pressure how a person thinks if he has encountered a new problem, how he codes. Like people out there, they throw everything out in the main function. They don't take care of the modularity.
Hmm.
So they also check about this, like how you code. And the third thing is, okay, if something complex is there, how clear you can think of it. And moreover, if you are given a problem and if you're not able to solve it, can you take up the hints provided by the interviewer
Hmm.
and then solve it? Because at the end, you're going to work in a team. So
Correct.
it's very like obvious, like you should have the skills to collaborate with the team and take up their ideas and use them to like put forward the solution.
So it's not just a problem itself that you are solving. There are actually many things that how you are solving the problem says about you, and
Yeah,
which you will
right.
be using in your day-to-day work. Because anyway, I mean, if they check you on libraries or programming language knowledge, today there is one programming language, tomorrow there is another.
Exactly.
So there will be no standard that way. Also, I think studying for programming language interviews are actually harder than algorithm interviews, because programming languages have so many things. I mean, you cannot study all of
Yeah,
them, but
exactly.
algorithm interviews are most of the times not very difficult. I mean, you can get through
Yeah,
it.
like algorithms interview, like or the algo rounds which are there, they are difficult just because if at that point, yeah, the solution doesn't strike you.
Yeah,
And if in
right,
your
right, right.
mind you know now you're stuck, then the
Right,
things
right,
come up.
right, 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 right. Yeah, but also in programming language interviews, if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, you cannot even think out the answer. You
Yeah,
just say, I don't
it's
know.
simply
I
it's
don't know.
simply I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But in algorithm, at least you can say that, okay, I'm thinking this way, and the interviewer may, okay, like he's thinking in the right direction, at least.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's an advantage over there.
hmm, hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, thank you, Sashank, for sharing so much with us. I mean, this was actually a very good experience for me. I've been meaning to talk to Sashank for quite some time now, and such great insights and such great advice. Anything you like to tell, Sashank, to people watching? Anything from your side?
I would say one thing, like if you're starting with DSL Go,
Hmm.
have a proper plan out there, because what I did, like I did a major mistake. I was not planned in my approach how to learn it. So I was
Hmm.
here and there learning some topic in a discrete fashion, but that would not help you much. And yes, one more thing which I realized very late was having a proper revision of the things you have learned.
Hmm.
Because suppose you have learned something today and you're like stopped solving a new problem out there on that topic, and if you come after even 1 week, you will feel some rusty. Like you will see, okay, I'm not able to code at first. You will get to know that thing out there by your own self when you will code for that topic. Like suppose like you have been using tries, like you are solving try problem today.
Hmm.
You have learned tries today and you're solving what problems on it, and you gave a break of like 10 to 15 days and you haven't solved a single problem on Trice, or even not revised the concept how the insertion works, the search works over there, and
Hmm.
update works. So at that time you will feel, okay, again I have to see the basics, again I have to revisit the videos or the resource from which I have studied. So if you are having a constant revision of the things, that will help you always, like you will always be in touch with that.
Do you think daily practice is important? Like, I felt that if I'm not doing daily practice sometimes, I'm getting a bit rusty.
I would say like daily practice is good, but sometimes like if your mind feels like okay, it's getting a bit monotonous,
Hmm.
then just leave it for a day or two.
Yeah.
But still, like if you're feeling monotonous, just revise up the things at that time for which you have lost test. You are thinking like okay, this topic is there which I haven't revised from a long time. So just take up those topics at that time.
Hmm. Thank you, Shashank, so much for coming. And guys, if you love the video, leave a like, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel. I mean, you guys know what every person making the video wants, right? So leave your comments, whatever, even if it's something negative, um, put it out there, and I'll try to see if it's something I should learn, or even if it's just galia, just write it there in comments, because YouTube algorithm doesn't care. It just cares about engagement. So, and I'll put Shashank's LinkedIn in the description. So if you want to talk to him, or if you want to ask him any questions, you can also do it in the comments. I'll make sure that I forward those questions to him. So thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you, Shashank, so much for coming. Bye.
Thank you, Ankush, for having me also. Thanks a lot.